The Mad Collectors are in 3D. No, well, maybe not. Okay, well, the Mad Collectors are in AI.
Oh, and possibly HD.
No, well, no, I don't think that's accurate either. The Mad Collectors are in France.
Ah, yes. Bordeaux is here.
Oh, well, that's not accurate either, but the Mad Collectors are about to take you to the Far East.
Oh.
Yes, it's going to get mystical. It's going to get magical. There's going to be a tour. We're going to the far eastern side of Staten Island. For enter the Wu-Tang.
Oh, it's so plastic. There it is. Oh. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. I think that's Ghostface up front, by the way. From what I discovered.
And I am doing the vinyl this time.
I also once had that, as I am prone to do. I had multiple copies of this record on multiple formats because why not? And in a rush of why do I have so many records on double formats, I've sold off a bunch of stuff, and I've since been like, I should probably get that one again. But all kidding aside, I do have this thing with sometimes, especially with 90s hip hop on vinyl, because they made it for CD and put the vinyl noises into the CD world.
Okay.
Like there's a Tribe Called Quest, like they're known for like, you know, it sounds like a needle drops on the record and you hear the like vinyl thing happening. It drives me crazy on a record to hear that. I'm like, I don't need it. It like makes my brain hurt. So,
yes.
So this one I kept on CD. So
good deal. And you know what? I'm glad you brought up the sound variation, because you know this record, it's a little weird. It sounds kind of unmastered to me.
Yes. It is very weird.
Like I know that's the history of the thing, and you know, it's like the greatest hip hop album of all time that sounds like it was recorded in a trash can. But like on vinyl, I have to take my volume all the way up. It has to go all the way up to the maximum for it to sound, you know, like reasonable.
Right. And I think I kind of love that they have never like RZA has never been like, hey, Loud, give me the masters back. We're gonna go and we're gonna send this to, you know, Bernie Grundman or somebody and like have him like really give it the business. Like, nah. It's like, yeah, it sounds like what it sounds like. It sounds like we were like 18 making a record. We didn't know. We had like $4.
But the CD has that output because it's digitally mastered, so it's like it's up there.
It's definitely pushes more for sure. Yeah.
Yes. So my listening was kind of like alternating between, you know, the more like traditional, like this is what kids kind of heard in the 90s, and then like, oh, okay, but this is what my old ears can actually hear and process and observe.
Right.
But man, what a classic record! What an amazing thing! What was your first copy of it?
This is actually my first copy of this. Because if I'm being honest and not being a snooty snobby man, I didn't actually own this record until 2015, probably. I had like digital copies floating around or whatever. I didn't fully ingest the majesty that was this record until way after it was in the universe. I think mainly because at the time I was into hip hop, pushing into before this, like in a big way, and then got really into the punk rocky, post rocky thing, whatever. And then there was a point where like the hardcore hip hop thing happened like big, and then it was all like crime stories and, you know, all that. And I kind of fell off a little bit. And so this was like unfairly lumped into like a category that really wasn't in my brain. And then later I was like, oh, this is why everybody loves this. And it kind of came through like getting into Ghostface first. Like I got into Ghostface Killah things, and then I was like, oh, I should really do my diligence here. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is why everybody loves this. But yeah, what about you?
I'm really glad that you're a newer fan, because I was feeling bad because I'm a super new fan.
Yeah.
Like, I missed it completely in the 90s. Hip, like, just the way my musical appreciation works, I was more tuned in with hip hop that I felt in the chest and in the groin, like the groove based stuff, like all the stuff that was sampling P-Funk.
Right.
So like the gangster rap, anything that had like a great bass synth. That's what resonated with me. I didn't really like get into the lyrical side of hip hop. Fast forward many years later, it's, gosh, I guess the year 2019, 2020. It's 2020.
Right.
And we got this COVID thing.
Yep.
So everybody has just copious amounts of free time.
Yeah.
And I had so much free time, I had to like start watching some TV shows.
Right.
So
right.
I tuned into the Wu-Tang TV show on Hulu.
Yes. Yes.
And that's kind of a weird way to come into it, but it helped me understand, the fact that this was like a cast of characters. This was like an ensemble, and there was a dramatic narrative, to the band.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I came in with the Wu-Tang TV show, and then it just kept getting more and more obsessed. Like, the more I got from the TV show, the more I realized that there's like 9 guys in this thing, and they all have solo albums, and it really is. It's like a super group, because people are always comparing them to, the Avengers or the X-Men. But the thing is truly a like super group. Everybody has a huge amount of individual power, but it adds up to this greater thing.
Yeah, and I think I think that there was sort of like it hit me as a drummer. It hit me because it's so just like that boom bap sort of like just drums, and there may be another melodic element in there for a hook kind of thing, but like RZA was like it seemed like he was like mainly concerned about the drums being a thing. And I think like understanding like those, like what it took to like get some of those samples and then make them sound like grittier than they ever were before, and like dirty and like grimy, almost like we were talking about with the Tom Waits record. Like it kind of is symbiotic to that in a way, because it like is floating around at the same time, but it also like has the same kind of sensibility where it's like, we're going to make this sound like where we're from, and where we're from is not pretty and not great, and there's a lot of like crazy shit that goes down where we're from, but we also kind of love where we're from, and we want to like tell everybody that we love where we're from, even though it's crazy, and we want to get out of there as fast as humanly possible. But I think the drums like really like yanked me in hard. Like I remember like just putting headphones on and just playing along to this, like when I'd be home, just like, yep. I want to play all these beats in this same way. I want it to sound like that as much as I possibly could. It was, pretty formative after I got into it, for sure.
Yeah, the RZA is the guy who builds a lot, all the Wu-Tang beats here, and he does have a really unique approach, and it's been copied a lot since then. But I mean, he was like the first guy to really do the like taking the soul samples, and like slowing them way down and speeding them way up, the chipmunk soul thing, and the layering too. That that's what that got me in. Just the way he would take disparate pieces, like a bass line from this and a drum beat from that, and then but also put in his own rudimentary piano playing, to create these completely unique beds of music. That's even though they're a little grungy. And they're maybe a little out of tune, but man, they have a lot of character and just unique, original.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's just like, it's sonically so interesting. I think in all these like listens through that I did, it's so sonically interesting to hear like what what he was doing. Like sometimes it sounds, you know, like you said, it sounds unmastered. Sometimes it sounds like they were going for certain things, and then sometimes it just sounds like we had to get this track at this moment, and this is literally, we had a mic set up in this room, and it was like 4 inches from the wall, and what you're hearing is like what it sounds like when these guys are doing their thing 4 inches from the wall in a tiny closet with a mic. Like, I mean, Bring the Ruckus, like, when you listen to that at volume, like, you can hear, like, it's not like a put on reverb. It's like, it's what it sounds like in the room they were in. Like, you can hear the room, and that was not a thing in hip hop. Like, you didn't, it's almost like you didn't give away that secret. Like, it was supposed to be more mysterious and mystical in a way, or at least seemed like that to a white kid from Georgia. But it definitely, like, you can hear all of their voices in the room, and that is amazing. Like, it's amazing to hear it like just bouncing back so fast. Like, it's great. It's great.
Oh, it is very natural, and you know, and it is very different from what was in the mainstream at the time. You know, because you got to remember this was the era of the Puff Daddy and the Dr. Dre, and it is much more produced.
Oh yeah.
But you know, one of the interesting things I learned about the way RZA builds these things is he tries to limit the actual amount of sampling to about 25%.
Right.
So even though I know we just talked about how he brings in different samples, but that's really just a tiny portion. You know, he is like leaning on his own inability, you know, kind of rudimentary inability. He doesn't really know much about the piano or whatever instrument, but that's kind of the genius of it.
Right.
He's not going to overthink it.
Right.
Or he's going to come up with something original and intuitive. So I did a little bit of research to figure out what some of the samples are on this album.
Yeah.
Because,
they're great.
Man, none of them stand out.
Right.
Like, you know, a lot of the West Coast stuff, you know, those Parliament samples, like, oh, yeah, that's
right.
An easy one. But, man, this Wu-Tang stuff is pretty thick.
Yeah.
The only one that, like, jumped out right away is Underdog.
Oh.
That one samples the Underdog cartoon.
Yep.
But I looked up a few others. We got Cream samples As Long As I've Got You by the Charmels.
Yes. Which is it's a great song. Yeah. It's a great song. It is, it's like classic soul, you know, deal. But that piano line is like, I think he took the piano and the drums maybe from that. And the piano is like, it's kind of one of those moments where you're like, you realize how hard it is to sample certain things because you're like, that is such it's like a part of the song. Yes, it's a big deal. But like when you're hearing it in retrospect, like it just kind of is a passing, like it's a thing. And like to pick that little bit out and be like, all right, this is going to be this is the melodic, you know, hook of this thing is like, it's crazy.
And then the other sample on that one is a track called Money, and that's the Dollar Bill Y'all by Jimmy Spicer.
That one I have not tracked down.
Me neither. I mean, I'm gonna have to do like a whole separate listening session just to like go through all these samples, and check out the original bits. And then, you know, Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With has the Underdog by the Alan Toussaint Orchestra.
Yep.
Papa Was 2 by Joe Tex. Does that ring a bell?
Vaguely, yes.
That's completely alien to me. This one I've heard of. That also has elements of Nobody Beats the Biz Marquis,
who was an early fan of what became Wu-Tang Clan. Like he knew about these cats, like in their separate before they formed up like Voltron, and as Raekwon says, before that, he knew about them and helped them get like record deals like separately before that all kind of fell apart. And then RZA was like, we should just do this together. Yeah, the Biz was like instrumental. He was instrumental in like so much of New York hip hop that I feel like people don't fully recognize that. I mean, people that know it do, but like white kids from Georgia probably don't know that. I didn't know that. I just knew Biz Markie as like the funny guy who beatboxed and couldn't sing in the most like endearing way possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, he's Staten Island.
Right.
He's
right.
And the thing that's notable is like this was that part of New York just wasn't on the map.
No,
it was not a hip hop scene. I know we think of it as a hip hop scene now because so much stuff, Wu-Tang and afterwards comes from East New York. But at that time, it just wasn't a thing.
Right. Yeah, maybe Long Island, you had some guys that came off Long Island, but like Staten Island was like, no, like it was kind of the forgotten. It was Shaolin, and like it was out there, and nobody went there, nobody touched it, and then here comes these guys. Like
so yeah, I mean, what a weird thing. Like what? There's originally 9 guys in the group.
Yeah.
Wow. And but this stemmed from a 3-person nexus. Like originally, it's a group of cousins.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a little bit of superhero analogies, metaphors here, but we're gonna reveal their true identity. Okay. So RZA, Robert Diggs, that's his true identity. That's his Clark Kent.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then his cousin Gary Grice, the genius,
the GZA.
And then the 3rd cousin, old dirty bastard, Russell Tyrone Jones.
Yes. Oh.
So that's like the nexus of it. The original. If we wanted to like really dial it back and say who's like the base group, it's those 3 guys, and it spins off from that.
Right.
And it's not an easy sell. Like if you do go back and check out the Hulu TV show, or another great way to learn about Wu-Tang is this lovely book by the RZA, the Wu-Tang Manual. This thing is great. I got a lot of, I like the TV show, but it also left me wondering, hey, I know TV is drama. You got to beef it up, make it entertainment. So like, what's the real deal? So I wanted to come talk to RZA.
Nice. He'll never let you down. He'll never steer you wrong.
No. But yes, initially it wasn't an easy sell. A lot of these guys were like against each other.
Yes.
There was a lot of like inter dude feuding. Yeah. So like the band really forms, but RZA kind of confines them all on the Staten Island ferry, and then forces them to negotiate. Yeah. To agree to becoming the Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
And is that the origin story that
Yeah, I mean, like his sell was like, we're gonna make it a conglomerate of like guys who are already doing their rap thing. We're gonna put you all together, and we're gonna have it under this umbrella of like kung fu movies, comic book style antics, and like 5% Nation of Islam sort of street teaching stuff that they had picked up on the street in New York. Which, if you don't know the history of 5% Nation, it's much too long to like really go into here, but there's a whole mathematics set and a whole language that it uses that is used throughout this record. Like all the numbers, all the numerology, all that in here is all tied to 5% Nation. All the like slang that I knew as a kid, like dropping science and all that, that was all it was all 5% terminology that I had no clue. I was just like, yeah, I'm dropping science. Running around like, yeah. I'm sure if I would have walked up to the wrong guy, I'm like, I'm dropping science. And you'd be like, oh yeah. Okay, you yokel.
Just put a sign on the door like, I'm dropping a science in here.
But yeah, like he even, I guess the story is that like to find out who went on what tracks, they had to like battle each other to even like figure out who was going to be on the track. So whoever had the best bars for like a particular beat would get to be on the beat. And if you didn't have it, like you didn't get to be on it. And that was part of the like rub, I think, for a lot of those guys, like, oh, I've got to agree to do this, But he was also pulling like people that he knew, or maybe like even more extended family in and they were like unknown to the guys who were already the family. So it was a little bit like, like, I don't know that guy, or like, you know, I think Method Man was like playing lacrosse all the time or something like that. Like he was like, it's like, what? Like he was, you know, but they were also like young. They were like, you know, high school age, barely out of high school age, maybe, and like trying to figure it out, which, you know, definitely resonates with like the punk rock mindset. Like, you know, that's when a lot of like the best punk rock things happen, is like when people don't know, they're trying to figure out being in that world between childhood and adulthood, and like, what am I going to do? I really like doing this music thing, and then suddenly I find some people who like doing it too. Like, should we do this together? And form up like Voltron, and there you go.
And you get that. I mean, both the struggle and the power through unity thing.
Right.
That is a big part of Wu-Tang.
Yes.
That is a huge part of the Wu-Tang recipe.
Yes.
So, my good. I mean, you want to rattle off the members of Wu-Tang? Should we bother doing that? I mean,
let's see.
Or
all right,
that everybody knows them by now.
We got RZA. See, we'll test my knowledge here. RZA, Jizza, Old Dirty Bastard, Inspectah Deck, Masta Killa, Ghostface Killah, You God, the unheralded You God.
Yes.
Master Ace? Is he in there too? And I'm forgetting one guy.
There's Masta Killa is a later era. I don't think he's on 36 Chambers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But there's a 10th guy. Or actually, there's a 10th. Might be a. Okay. Yeah. There's also Cappadonna.
Oh, Cappadonna. Yeah. That's right.
I don't know if he's on 36 Chambers, though.
I don't think he is. I think he was also later. I think Cappadonna and yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe it's just on Wu-Tang on Wu-Tang.
There's just 9 guys on there.
It's like 6 of them. Oh, Method Man. Duh. I said
Did you say Raekwon? See, like, there's so many guys I'm already lost.
I'm sorry. If you ever see this, I'm so sorry.
But yeah, I mean,
Cross, I'm sorry. Don't hurt me.
Yeah, that's Wu-Tang. There's just so damn many of them. But that's the magic thing. I remember the first time I listened to Protect Your Neck. I just couldn't believe it. It's like, this thing is 7 minutes long. It never does a chorus or a hook or anything resembling a normal hip hop track, and it's just one guy after another. They just keep coming. They just keep coming.
Right. I mean, it's like, I mean, Bring the Ruckus is like the same way. It's like the first song on the album starts with like kung fu movie snippets spliced together, not even from the same movie. They're like shooting in and out between movies. He hooks them all together, and then the beat drops. Next thing you know, like, Ghostface Killah is like screaming at you about like beating you senseless. Just like, and like, it's unrelenting. Like the first track is just like, like, oh my God, like, are these guys okay? Is everything going to be all right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to be all right.